Good morning. I'd like to call to order the open meeting for Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. Commissioner Hawkins is joining us virtually today. Commissioner Hawkins, can you hear us?
I can. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. I will now ask the Commission Secretary for information on today's agenda.
Each commissioner has independently reviewed the agenda, and each has informed me there is no need to discuss the suggested minute associated with Agenda Item 1, approving the BEAD final proposal and directing staff to finalize and submit it for approval to NTIA, including making any modifications necessary to gain approval from NTIA. The chair has indicated that she wishes to make remarks, though, before a motion is made.
Thank you. So I'll just make some brief comments. Our loan item before us today is docket 5 BD 2025, Wisconsin's application to the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, or NTIA, for our Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, or BEAD program. Today, the Commission is approving the BEAD final proposal, directing staff to finalize and submit it to NTIA, and giving them the flexibility to make modifications necessary for NTIA approval. As evidenced in our memo and the public comments received, there are still some lingering minor moving parts to all of this, giving the broadband team the flexibility needed to comply with tomorrow's looming deadline and engage in the back and forth with NTIA likely to occur subsequent to the submission of our application is the best approach to put us in a position to obtain NTIA approval. I'm not going to dig into any of the specific preliminary awards listed in our memo, but I will make some general comments. First and foremost, I want to thank the PSC's entire broadband team. The work they undertook, the care, precision, and thoroughness they applied to this, and the speed in which they delivered it is frankly incredible. I also want to thank the internet service providers that applied in the first and second rounds of our previous BEAD subgrantee process, and then had to scramble to change their applications to comply with the new rules imposed on this most recent round. And I want to thank the local governments, tribal nations, nonprofit organizations, and the numerous other stakeholders and partners who have been in the trenches with us since day one to help develop and deploy this program. A little bit of background on how we got here. In November 2021, Congress enacted the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, which included the BEAD program and provided $42.5 billion nationwide to deploy broadband service through a state-administered competitive funding program. Governor Tony Evers authorized the PSC to administer the state's allocation of BEAD program funds. NTIA calculated state funding allocations based on several factors, and Wisconsin's total funding allocation is $1 billion with a B, $55,823,573.71. In order to receive funding, states had to submit and NTIA had to approve proposals outlining the processes proposed to achieve universal service for all broadband locations in a state. From October 2022 through June 2025, our Wisconsin BEAD team carried out extensive outreach, engagement, and production to plan, design, and implement the Wisconsin version of this program. Throughout every step in the process, this work was undertaken in a thoughtful, intentional, and deliberative manner that complied with original federal program requirements while carefully crafting and executing the best possible program for our state. To that end, in November 2023, the Commission approved Volume 1 of our initial BEAD proposal, which outlined the process for identifying and validating BEAD-eligible locations, including the challenge process. NTIA approved this volume in April 2024. In January 2024, the Commission approved Volume 2 of our BEAD proposal, laying out the process for evaluating qualifications of prospective bidders, known as subgrantees, and identifying funding awards to construct service to all BEAD-eligible locations. NTIA approved this volume in July 2024. Just because it was so in depth, I just want to give a very quick snapshot of some of the work that was undertaken by our team to conduct this outreach and engagement in the design and implementation of our program. 26 webinars were hosted to update and inform stakeholders on topics from community engagement and data utilization to the challenge process and environmental requirements. The team attended over 300 municipal government meetings to work with local leaders to educate their communities on the BEAD process and guide how to best participate. Numerous meetings with Wisconsin's tribal nations occurred to ensure that tribes were given the opportunity to meaningfully participate in the BEAD program, and most importantly, that tribal consent and sovereignty were honored as part of this process. The team frequently met and collaborated with partners to build toolkits and create public awareness campaigns so that communities across the state could participate in BEAD. We began to work with Wisconsin technical college system to support the workforce development-related initiatives for BEAD infrastructure investment in the construction phase. And the team shared pertinent information updates regularly through posted notices and monthly newsletters. In response to the priorities voiced in this engagement process and in compliance with original program requirements, Wisconsin's program and its scoring rubric addressed cost efficiency and match contributions, affordably priced service, fair labor practices, expeditious deployment, local coordination, and endorsement by county and tribal governments, along with a quality of design and resulting performance of the network. The Commission supported these initiatives, and Wisconsin's original BEAD plan and its award funding rubric were designed based on these priorities and the robust engagement process and feedback gathered from across the state. In August of 2024, implementation of our subgrantee process began with our letter of intent process. Overall, 35 letters were submitted and 30 were approved, which demonstrates the broad participation and strong competition for funds. The Commission opened round 1 of the subgranting or bidding process in January of 2025. We received 425 ISP applications that proposed to serve 95% of the BEAD eligible locations. Round 2 opened in May 2025, and we received 259 new and amended applications, which, combined with preliminary awards, would have reached 98% of the BEAD eligible locations in our state. The planned awards from rounds 1 and 2 would have deployed fiber to the premises service to around 93% of eligible locations at an average cost of $5,004 per location. Because of the thoughtful nature of our program design and compliance with original program requirements, these results would have provided the long-term, reliable, affordable internet service communities, families, and businesses expressed the strong need and desire for. So that's what could have been and what we were well on our way to launching: a robust, thoughtful, community-developed and supported program that complied with original program requirements. Instead, on June 6th of 2025, all that changed. The Trump administration's NTIA published a BEAD program restructuring notice that essentially scrapped the previous 3 years of work undertaken thus far. The restructuring notice stripped out many of the best aspects of the program and created the BEAD Bob round that required states to rescind all preliminary awards, create, administer, and finalize a new proposal complying with the vast and regressive program changes issued, and submit that proposal to NTIA within 90 days. That deadline is upon us tomorrow, and the modified proposal in response to those significant changes is what's before us today. To be clear, that means that in the last 90 days, or 89 days, our team had to rescind previously decided awards, complete a revised letter of intent process, update eligible location data per the policy notice, update the scoring and program requirements to comply with all of the new rules, more on that later, solicit and review applications, negotiate to ensure remaining locations not receiving bids were funded, hold a public comment period, present a formal pre-submission to NTIA, make preliminary award decisions, obtain commission approval, and complete and submit a final proposal summarizing this process, providing detailed data, and demonstrating compliance with the significant program changes issued in June. Specifically, the new policy notice required us to quickly overhaul our initial subgrantee selection process and eliminate our thoughtfully crafted scoring categories related to affordability, local government endorsements and public engagement, fair labor practices, and quality of design and resulting performance of the network. The most notable and regressive changes to Wisconsin's initial proposal required by the federal government include less reliable broadband technology. The original BEAD program previously prioritized the deployment of fiber technology because it provides the more reliable service than other broadband technologies such as unlicensed, fixed wireless, and satellite. Under the new guidance issued in June, BEAD no longer prioritized fiber, shifting the program results toward less reliable technologies and infrastructure with a shorter useful life and a lower performance period. As we have learned throughout this process and as evidenced by the public comments made to today's memo, individuals, communities, and businesses are rightfully clamoring for fiber. The deployment of less fiber means that locations receiving fixed wireless or satellite service under these results will receive a more short-term, less reliable fix and that these locations will likely continue to have to seek fiber service through future funding opportunities. Our staff had to pivot to this required technology-neutral approach, and I'm very confident that they achieved this directive. Secondly, the June guidance removed affordability offerings. The initial BEAD program mandated a low-cost requirement to ensure that all people could access the network supported and built with this public funding, regardless of income and socioeconomic status. Wisconsin's affordable plan was initially set at $40. Unfortunately, this option was removed under the new BEAD guidance. In fact, in the BEAD Bob round, only 9 applicants set their low-cost eligibility at or below $40 a month. And the current average cost of service in Wisconsin is $64 a month. The removal of the low-cost service option from application requirements means that there will be places in the state where public dollars making investments are unaffordable for public access. This is further exacerbated by the expiration and Congress's failure to extend the Affordable Connectivity Program. Third, the June guidance eliminated local coordination and planning. As I mentioned, over the last 3 years, 52 county boards carefully reviewed possible internet service providers and chose to formally endorse providers they wish to partner with. The new guidance removed local endorsements, and local input is now disqualified from award consideration. A ton of great work happened in communities across the state. Counties stood up broadband task forces, elected bodies and tribal nations undertook their own assessments and voted to endorse internet service providers, and local leaders worked with community members to explore and pursue program outcomes that would best support their needs. Unfortunately, that is gone. Also, in addition to the known changes in the federal government's June policy notice, there are significant unknowns around non-deployment funds awarded to states under original allocations. Despite the fact that Congress enacted and codified the non-deployment dollars in IIJA, NTIA has not yet provided guidance about non-deployment funding. Non-deployment activities are essential to maximizing the utilization of BEAD-funded networks to ensure that other non-infrastructure barriers to broadband use do not prevent households from participating in essential aspects of modern society, such as education and healthcare. Critical to this non-deployment investment and infrastructure investments in BEAD are workforce training and upskilling to alleviate inevitable human capacity issues arising from the influx of broadband infrastructure construction, and to ensure overall BEAD program deadlines are met in the timely, cost-efficient, and effective deployment of broadband. Without these non-deployment funds for critical workforce-related initiatives, we run the risk of not having the trained labor to safely build this infrastructure by 2030 as intended. Overall, the rushed nature and regressive and short-sighted focus of the BEAD Bob changes, especially those related to deployment costs, made this program a race to the bottom. Instead of applicants focusing on the long-term impact and cost benefits of their projects and providing the best available technology, they were forced to propose projects with the lowest cost per locations to put themselves in position to receive funding awards. This means applicants were forced to rush and put their bids together without contingencies and with likely potential budget shortfalls. This sets the entire program up for challenges and probably cost overruns with no flexibility to fill in the gaps. Reserving the funding set forth in the state's full allocation will give us the ability to make adjustments in the future and to ensure that broadband is successfully deployed across the state. And we're hopeful that that's what happens. In terms of moving forward, clearly the NTIA changes made in June upended all the great work done prior to its issuance. But the byproducts, information gathered, and results of everything that happened prior to the June 2025 guidance is still extremely beneficial, informative, and worthwhile. After the June changes, Wisconsin Broadband Office staff pivoted and immediately stood up and provided webinars, BEAD office hours, and guidance documents before application deadlines to help eligible applicants ensure they could submit complete applications in compliance under a new, incredibly tight timeframe that does not allow the chance to cure. So what's before us today is not how we thought it would be, and frankly leaves much to be desired due to the changes required. However, I'm still incredibly proud of the team and their ability to work through these setbacks quickly, to provide ample assistance to applicants and stakeholders, and to preserve our opportunity to receive significant funding in the deployment of improved service across the state. I'm relieved to see that our preliminary awards include an array of providers such as tribal governments, Wisconsin-based internet service providers, and local communication cooperatives. While under our initial proposal, we would have likely awarded 190,000 locations of fiber, these BEAD-BOB changes reduce that total to the 130,000 we have before us today. As it stands, the breakdown of technology is now 73.5% fiber, 13.3% fixed wireless, and 13.2% satellite. I'm very confident that our staff achieved the technology-neutral directive issued in the new guidance. I was disheartened to read some of the comments of this memo and understand that some may be disappointed in the PSC's unwillingness to ignore the federal guidance. It seems that we are being blamed for implementing these required changes. I want to be clear that our hands were tied, and in order to preserve our opportunity to receive this crucial funding, these changes had to be adopted. Despite our preferences and the models that were approved by this commission in volumes 1 and 2 of Wisconsin's original BEAD proposals, there's absolutely no question in my mind that our team administered the funds in an ethical and legal way that is required in order for our state to receive our award, and that was very important to us. If we want these funds, and if we want to try to get broadband to all these locations, we have to proceed with the new Trump administration guidance. We don't have a choice in the matter, and this is the best possible way to move forward. So in all, and in summary, I do have very mixed feelings about today's decision. I'm happy and excited of the locations across the state that will receive improved internet access, and I'm incredibly thankful and grateful for all of the work that was done, especially by our broadband team throughout the last 3 years. So I will leave it at that. I will give my fellow commissioners the opportunity to make any comments if they'd like to add their thoughts. But if not, or when that's done, we are ready for a motion on this. But just thank you. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Chairperson Strand. I don't have a lot to add. I'd simply like to echo your appreciation for the state broadband office team and its demonstrated excellence through all circumstances that you've described. I'm reminded today as you're giving your remarks about why this broadband team was nationally recognized yet again just this July as a model in our country of efficiency and commitment. This time it was by the Benton Institute, not the first time they've been nationally recognized, and echoing your thanks for that. I was also at Alternative One clearly and appreciate your comments.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Hawkins?
Thanks, Chair Strand. I just want to echo your, I think, eloquent mix of frustration, optimism, and admiration that you expressed. And I'm in the same place, and I will not belabor the discussion.
Thank you. And that was a really good articulation of my comments. Thank you. Okay, I think we're ready for a motion on this one.
All right. In 5 BD 2025, I move we approve the BEAD final proposal and direct staff to finalize and submit it for approval to NTIA, including making any modifications necessary to gain approval from NTIA.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That does conclude our official business for today. Our next open meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 11th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we stand adjourned until Thursday, September 11, 2025 at 10:30 a.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you so much. We're adjourned.